Southampton Marathon, here we go. Been there, done that, completed it, mate. Got the t-shirt and the medal, to be fair. Quite a nice medal. So why did I choose to do a marathon, and why did I choose to do it without any sleep? Basically, it's because me and Juki have been planning to do a 24-hour enduro race this year, and I wanted to do an event, to do some physical exertion after a long period without any sleep, just to try and get some sort of prep to see what it's going to feel like for the actual 24-hour enduro race. Knowing what I know now, totally different, but I can touch on that later. So along with my online coaching, I've also got a full-time job. It's in the oil industry as a shift worker, so this is the reason why I ended up doing the run without any sleep, because it was booked between 2 night shifts. So what happened the day before the marathon was that I was awake from 8 o'clock in the morning. I was awake all day, didn't go back to sleep before my night shifts, which some people do. I just don't personally do that. I then went into work at 6 p.m, finished at 6 a.m, came back home at 6 in the morning, seen Emily. Emily had some breakfast ready for me, which was great. We then jumped in the car about an hour later to head into Southampton City Centre to then get on the start line for 9 o'clock in the morning. So by the time I got to the start line, I was already been awake for 25 hours.
Like those leg swings? Here we go then. It's time. 20 to 9, 20 minutes before we start. Where's the start line? Oh no, there's the start line. I guess so, yeah. I'm just going to wait till all the crowds disappear and then I'll follow them. Hey everyone, this is Freddie. Freddie, this is everyone. Hello! A bit brisk, isn't it?
It is. At least I'm not doing a marathon.
Yeah, who's doing that? Should be foolish enough to do that.
At that point, I didn't feel too bad, to be fair. I've done shift work for many, many years. I've spent 8 years in the Navy, and I've done shift work now for the last 12 years, so kind of used to it. But on the start line, I felt in general pretty good. So on the day that I booked the event, which was, I think was about the 14th or 15th of March, I then got an email through from ABP Southampton saying, congratulations for booking onto the event. Here is your 16-week training guide. Well, like I had a month to go, 5 weeks, 6 weeks at the most to go before the actual run itself, which is not a lot of time to prepare. I know that now after speaking to a lot of hardcore marathon runners. They all called me a bit of an idiot for doing it. However, I've got my phone here with Strava, and I'll just take you through what I actually did to prepare for the race. So as you can see here, the first run that I went on was a 10-mile run on the 21st of March. Not a bad pace, 7.51 miles. That's all basically road running. Quite good with that. I then went and did a World of Racing Events enduro race. That was up in Wales. As you can see, that's pretty crazy there, but that basically tracked the whole event. That's just a normal race. I think that was a 2.5 hour race. Next one after that was a 13.35 mile run. That was a bit of trail running as well. 8.24 mile per mile split, which is okay. Don't really remember too much from that run, but I just remember that normally my distances that I run was about 10Ks. Pretty good for going out and doing 5 and 10K runs. I'm not really that experienced in longer distances. I just remember that being a bit of a shock to the system, as in the full half marathon distance then. A little bit of a steady run with Mark Daniels, and then afternoon run again, that was 10 miles. Then I did a swim with Freddie. Freddie was actually on the start line with me. He did the half marathon and he absolutely smashed his time and got a PB, so well done for that, mate. I've then got a 6.22 mile run, another 10K, and by this point I'm sort of thinking to myself, I really need to step this up. And I've spoken to a lot of marathon runners or people experienced with long distance running, and they were saying to me, like, normally with a 16-week plan or a 20-week plan, you get to the point where you do a 20-mile run, so you know that you've got the long distance in the bag. You can then should be able to stretch your legs out for the further 6 miles to finish the event. I hadn't actually done that, and I actually didn't record it on here from memory. So I think I ended up doing the 20-mile run the Monday before the race, which is also daft in itself. I do not recommend any of what I'm telling you now. This is just how I prepared for this run. Next run was a pointless little 5.77 mile run. Then I've ramped it up a little bit and did a 14.5 mile run. That was a bit of a killer, I think. And then the next one after that was the actual run itself. And like I said, I didn't actually record the 20-mile run for some reason. 10K runs, when I go out and do my 10K runs, I don't bother taking any fluids out with me, any hydration or anything like that. I just go out and do the run, I'm back and I can hydrate afterwards. But when you start to stretch your legs out for longer distances, you kind of want to start taking some fluids with you and maybe then some nutrition as well. But starting off with the equipment, I purchased one of these, a running vest. This is a Solomon It comes with, it's off of Amazon, it comes with 2 hydration packs, which look like this. They're 450ml hydration packs. This is the ADV Hydra Vest 8. Very comfortable, didn't have any issues with it. The only thing I found with this vest is once the 2 hydration packs were in the arm straps, over time for long distances, as the pack does move up and down and it does come away from your body, it starts to rub on whatever t-shirt you're wearing, and I was wearing some light polyester t-shirts, like Gymshark stuff, and it was actually causing it to fray and actually like melt the fibers, so it basically wrecked the t-shirts. Not that that's a problem, but that's just something to be aware of. The pack itself is really sturdy, really good, loads of pockets, and even comes with a little whistle if you get into trouble. Loads of reflective strips on it as well. The first mistake I made with this is taking a hydration pack out. So I took a camel pack in the back of the bag, routed the hose over my shoulder, and I thought, well, that's going to be a good way of taking like 2 litres with me. 2 litres is far too much water to take with you anyway. Yeah, for starters, you're weighing yourself down. That's another 2 kilos of weight, which you just don't need. Plus, it's just far too much water for middle to long distances. You don't need 2 litres for a marathon, certainly. I mean, you're looking at about, for me personally, I was looking at around about 400 mils an hour. So 2 litres is overkill just to go out and do a 15-mile train run. However, that was my first mistake. My second mistake was to put the hydration pack in the back of this. Now, even though I've got experience with hydration packs and I take all the air out of it, the problem was that it's basically weighing you down. It's also sloshing around the back, so every single stride you take and every time you're doing a heel strike, all you can hear is all this water just gushing around in the back of the hydration pack, which even though I'm wearing my ear pods and I've got noise cancellation, you can just hear it there all the time. It's annoying. And then the other issue I had with it is over time, I couldn't get any suction from the hose. I couldn't get any fluids from it. So within about half an hour of the run, I'm starting to want to take in fluids. I couldn't get anything from it. So then it was upsetting my run. I was having to stop, take the pack off to then take some fluids in, and it's just not ideal. So the best solution is to actually take the hydration packs with you. They sit in the front of the pouch, really nice and convenient at the front, and you can basically just dip your head and take a swig from them as well. So that's the main equipment for hydration. Next piece of equipment is your footwear. This is what I chose to wear. These are pretty grim. These are some custom designed 2020 Squat Jepo Nike React Impact. I think the Nike React or Nike Infinity. I hate these. I absolutely hate these trainers. I did a load of research into what footwear to wear, and loads of people rave about these, but what I found is it's a very, very narrow arch, quite a wide toe box, but actually the sole is wide, but the toe box itself for the spread of your feet is very narrow, and that causes me issues. I've got quite wide toe spread as such, which is just from training, making sure that I'm not wearing shoes that crunch my toes in, and I like that comfort of being able to allow my toes to spread out. These shoes do not do that, and like an idiot, I wore these on the day of the race and just basically lost 3 toenails subsequently from wearing these things. Since then, what I can recommend is if you, rather than spending 180 quid on customizing with gold and your name and all that sort of stuff on a pair of Nike Infinities, is to go for one of their off-the-shelf trainers. And my go-to choice of trainers now is these. These are Pegasus 38s, they do the 39s now as well, but these are super, super comfortable, really nice wide toe box, and the sole is incredibly spongy and soft. So yeah, that's what I should have wore for the marathon, but I didn't. So next thing to talk about is hydration. I touched on it before with the equipment, with the hydration pack itself. With regards to how much water you need, what you can do is a bit of a test. You can go out for a 5K or a 10K run. If you know that your 5K is around about half an hour's worth of running at your race pace as such, or if you're even quicker than that, you can then just do a simple calculation. You can step on the scales before you go out for a run. As soon as you've done your run, you can come back in, you can weigh yourself again, work out how much weight you've lost through perspiration, which will then give you an idea then of how much you then need to consume per hour. So if you've gone out for 20 minutes, times it by 3. If you've done a 5K run and you've bust your ass out to get it out and you've done it in half an hour, then obviously times it by 2 for working out what your per hour fluid rates are. I've done that a couple of times and it's always worked out about me needing about 400 mils of fluids per hour. So one of these 450 mils, perfect. I've got 2 of those, so that sees me good for a good 2-hour run. Nutrition. Nutrition is very important, and I was using some of these carbohydrates, electrolytes in my hydration packs. Now, another mistake that I made was to do the recommended amount of servings per measure. So for 450 mils of water, you would have 2 scoops of this, which works out about 40 grams. Now, what that does is it makes the mix in the hydration pack really quite sticky and sugary. It's almost like you're drinking sweets basically. But the problem for me with that is that I just didn't feel like I was getting hydrated. So that was too much for me. So I needed another option. So I did have, in the end, one hydration pack which had 2 scoops of the electrolytes in, and then the other one on the other breast pocket was just water. So I could feel like I could take a sip of water, and if I need to take on some carbohydrates, I could take a sip of carbohydrates too. The other method for taking on carbohydrates, which is really common, is gel packs. This box is well battered. It's traveled around a little bit in the last couple of weeks, but these little gel sticks basically have 36 grams of carbohydrates in. They're good for giving you sort of 20 to 30 minutes worth of energy at a good solid pace. For marathon pace, where you're not going as hard, you could probably drop that down a little bit, but it's going to be very dependent on you as an individual to work out exactly how much carbohydrates you want to take in or what you need to take in as well. If you take too much of those gel packs, they can start to give you the runs, so you might want to think about taking some other solid carbohydrate sources as well. Pre-race, what I did was I took on about 60 to 70 grams of carbohydrates when I got in the morning at 6 a.m. And that just meant that I had a good amount of carbohydrates in my system a few hours before I actually got on the start line. So I was nice and settled in my stomach, didn't need to go to the loo or anything, and I had a good amount of carbohydrates in my system before actually the gun goes off and you start the race. So I've obviously now spoken about everything to do with why I did it, hydration, nutrition, the equipment that I've taken as well, but how did I get on?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. And a poo.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Just coming up to the 2 mile mark, going over the Itchen Bridge for the first time. Freddie, how are you doing?
Yeah, not bad. Little hill.
Quite an easy start, a lot of traffic, but we're just getting settled into the pace now, so see how it goes.
Fresh.
Very good. Bit of a unique experience. 6.3 miles in, straight through the St Mary's Stadium first time round. Feeling alright, bit of a glute strain from my right glute, but see how it goes.
Comes.
Yeah, go on, Adam. Good finish.
Go on, Glenn!
Another one! Just come through the halfway point. It's 1 hour 47. Not too bad. Feeling like still a bit of a hamstring pull on the right hand side, but we'll get through it. So another 13 to go. Back in St Mary's again for the second time. Fast approaching not fast approaching, but I'm approaching the 20 mile mark. Not feeling too bad, but definitely feeling the pain in my legs now. So see how the next 6 miles goes.
Come on, Glenn!
Victoria, congratulations. A quick word with you as well.
I want to hear the highs and lows. How did it feel when you turned around corner? To do it again?
Oh, gutting.
Gutting.
Well, not too bad. Here's my race results. As you can see, me coming across the line here, it's showing 3 hours and 45 minutes. And looking at my Strava time, my actual moving time was 3 hours and 42 minutes and 35 seconds. So that's because I started my watch directly on the start line. The 3 hours and 45 minutes is when you cross the finish line, and it's because when the gun goes off, and it takes quite a long time because there's so many people to actually get to the start line in the first place. So the race itself was really enjoyable. I was going to touch on the fact of where I thought I was going to prepare myself for the 24-hour enduro race, and it doesn't one bit. Sleep deprivation is one thing, I can deal with that, and I could deal with that at the time of the enduro race as well. With regards to the run itself, it was a bit of a shock. Like I said, I've never done a marathon before in my life. The 20-mile run that I did definitely kicked my ass, and doing the marathon was doable. I crossed the line at a good pace. I'm quite happy with the time. I was looking to get 3 hours 30 based on the pacing that I've done in my training runs. However, because it's so busy, which is good, it's one of those big events, it's going to happen at these big events. Because it was so busy, it took such a long time to get to the start line once the timer would actually start. And then even after that, it took about probably 4 miles to get clear of everybody and then get into some open space where you could like get into your own pace and get into your own rhythm. But that's just the nature of these events. That's my sort of 2 pence worth on what happened with the marathon, why I did it, and a bit of an insight on what you can do to prepare for one yourself.